Hello and welcome to another 31 Days of Horror 2015 segment. We are on the 12th of October. That's day 12 and I've lost track. We're either 12 or 13 movies. I don't know.
Not we, you.
Well, me, yes.
Yeah.
But you're at what, 5, 4, 3, 2, third?
3.
3.
Yeah.
3. And today we checked out the sequel to the last film we watched together. VHS Viral. This is the third film in the VHS series. This one, like the last one, released by Bloody Disgusting, you know, the website. This is from them. And like the other ones, it's an anthology film again. But it's not quite the same, and honestly I still think the first one is the best, but
I still haven't
seen it.
No.
So can't really comment on that one. This one had what, 4 segments? Wrap around?
Yeah.
I think, right?
Well, there was the 3.
I actually have notes for this one.
How do you have notes?
Yes, 4 segments, including the wraparound. So it's a 2014 film. It's about 80 minutes. There is a segment that was cut from the theatrical, which you can watch on the Blu-ray, which would make it, I guess, 98, 90, I don't know, over 90 minutes long. But it's clear why it was cut. Do we want to talk about that one first, or do we want to leave the best, you know, the best for last? Yes, the best.
Well, I don't know, because now you just brought it up.
That's true, I did. You know. So we might as well talk about it now.
Don't watch it.
The segment is called...
it's called Shoes? It should be called Shoes.
Gorgeous Vortex. It's directed by a gentleman called Todd Lincoln, who directed the film The Apparition. You've probably actually seen it.
Really?
Probably. It probably is on Netflix.
Then maybe.
Yeah. It's just one of those generic type films. You probably saw it. But yeah, seeing as how Lesley has such strong feelings about Gorgeous Vortex, take it away.
It should be called Shoes. Just
Shoes.
saying. Oh my god. I don't even know where to start. It's just so pointless. It's so pointless. There's too many things going on and nothing going on at the same time. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you don't know what I mean unless you've seen it. Don't see it. It's just... I really, really hated it. Yes. I hated it so much because there's too many questions. I still have too many questions. I'm still trying to put this stupid thing together. And you can't. Well, you kind of did, but you can't.
Yeah, we came up with our own little kind of explanation to this film. It's... And I'm calling it a film because they're technically, you know, each portion of an anthology is like a short film. And this one was very much... And I can see why it was cut. There's no real narrative to this. Everything else in the film has a narrative. It is a story. It's a self-contained little story. This one was more of a surreal, almost like a student art film type thing, where there's all these images and they're sort of cut, shortcuts, long cuts, don't really seem to have much in common other than this main character, I guess the gorgeous part of it. She's a very model-esque woman, often dressed in nothing but lingerie.
And very nice shoes.
And when she's not in lingerie, she's in like really skimpy clothing that's half off type thing. It's honestly, she's put there because she's, you know, a very beautiful person, and she's the gorgeous. You're supposed to be looking at her for, you know, and that's it. Then there's all these weird other things happening, running into faceless people and some kind of weird dead crow creature thing. And yeah, so it's one of those things where I guess you could pull whatever you want from it. You could try, you know, could be metaphors for this, symbolism for that, whatever you feel that you can, you know, piece together. If you can piece anything together, that's what it means to you, right? It's one of those type of films. And for us, we kind of there's a scene where she's giving herself a shot or something like that. So we were saying, well, maybe it's a whole thing about having diabetes. And, you know, she gets to a vending machine, and instead of being snacks or anything in it, it's all like clothing accessories and shoes. And it's, you know, it's her addiction. It's showing her addiction. Not only, you know, she wants the sweets, but she can't have the sweets. So it feeds her other addiction. She's filled that with pretty clothing and, you know, instead of, you know, she can't eat as much and stuff like that. So maybe that's why she's so, you know, thin and, you know, it's just weird things like that. And the faceless people, maybe those were the doctors, you know, the doctors are all the same. They're all faceless and they never help you and they never do anything. It always seems like they're torturing. I don't know. I guess it depends on what kind of relationship you have, but maybe that's what they were trying to go for. Probably not, but we were trying to make a story out of it, and that's what we came up with. But yeah,
then she burned the shoes, though.
Yeah, you didn't like her burning the shoes.
Come on.
Literally, it's the scene. You got the vending machine with the shoes in it, and the next scene is a bonfire of shoes. You figure it out. I don't know.
And I don't mind it where you need to figure out a portion of something. I don't mind that, but this was the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And so that was
like I said, it was very surreal art film type. Throw images at you. There's no dialogue. There's no real story. It's just, here you go. Make of it what you will. I don't know. But yeah, back to the actual film, because this was not in the actual film, so it doesn't count. It doesn't count.
I know.
We do have a sort of a wraparound story going on here. Unlike in the first two VHS films where somebody goes to a house and there's VHS tapes in it, this does not have that. This instead, I guess the viral portion of VHS is where, in reference to the wraparound story, and it starts off with somebody who's, you know, shooting with his cell phone. That was kind of spooky. I don't know if that got caught on the camera or not, but as I said, the cell phone went off. But anyways, yeah. So you know, he wants to have that viral video. He wants to be the next big hit online, and then it follows this car chase of an ice cream truck. And his girlfriend apparently gets kidnapped by the ice cream truck, so he's chasing it. And this is the wraparound, essentially, in between all of these videos is, you know, something revolving around the area where this ice cream truck is driving around and this guy is chasing it on a bike, and the little stories that sort of tie into that or not really tie into it. It's whatever. It was shot by... I'm trying to think. What was the name of that? Vicious Circles. So that was by Marcel Sormiento, who you might not know, but people into horror movies, you may not recognize the name, but he did the films Heavy Petting and Dead Girl. Dead Girl, you probably know. It got kind of critically, you know, acclaim in terms of the horror community. And he also did a segment in ABC's of Death. He did the segment D is for Dogfight, if you remember that. Probably not. So that moves us on to the first film, short film in the anthology, which was...
The Magician.
Yes, Dante the Great. Dante the Great, which...
I liked it.
You really like, so
yeah.
Take it away. What is it about?
Well, basically it's about this guy who wants to be a magician. Well, I don't know if he wants to, but he was, you know, just doing little tricks and stuff like that, right? But he wasn't really good. Then somehow he finds this cloak, this magical kind of cloak that helps him to do all kinds of insane magic, and he becomes kind of famous and things like that, but he has to feed it.
Yeah, he has to feed the beast being the cloak.
And it likes people.
And it likes people, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a cute little, it really worked well as a short film. It was well put together, a lot of little effects and stuff and magic tricks and such, all revolving around real magic. This isn't sort of like illusion or sleight of hand type tricks. These are, the actual cloak is actually able to do these things, so he can make people levitate and he can shoot fireballs and stuff like that. And they're not actual tricks, he's actually manifesting these things out of nowhere type thing. And so, yeah, essentially the power from the cloak needs to be regenerated by the dead bodies. And yeah, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. I mean,
I liked it.
It wasn't so much spooky. It was a guy going around killing people, and the kills were really, it was essentially, he starts off killing his assistants, right? So when they're sleeping or something like that, he puts the cape over them and the cape eats them. So yeah, not exactly the creepiest thing, but essentially the reason why they can have this tape is because he tapes everything. It's always the case with these found footage type things, right? I gotta tape everything. So this guy's like really voyeuristic. He's like, I'm taping everything. I guess. It's like, oh, my cloak has got to eat. I gotta tape it. I don't know why. But apparently he's got this thing. And he had a secret compartment where he was keeping all of his tapes. Which was cool. But yeah, it got you a little freaked out at the end.
At the end.
Yep.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, because it was pretty much the only real scary part of the entire...
Yeah, there wasn't scary. That's what's disappointing is, I would like a little more scariness, But...
Yeah, and that was... Who was that done? That was done by a guy named Greg Bishop, who had done The Other Side and Dance of the Dead. I don't think I've seen either of those films. Mm-hmm. I think Dance of the Dead's the only one that I may have heard of both of them, but kind of skimmed over it. Anything of the Dead always sounds like it's a movie I've heard because there's a million of them. After that one, the magic one came...
Oh, the dimension thing.
The parallel universe story.
What was that called?
That was called... I don't know. I don't have it here. Or do I? Yes, I do. It's on the other side. Parallel Monsters. Which was done by Nacho Vigalondo. The very, very, well, I guess, famous now in terms of the horror circles. People are really watching what he's doing. Started off with Time Crimes, which I still haven't seen, and I gotta track it down. Because everybody was raving about that movie. And then he did Extraterrestrial, which I think was just released, at least in Canada, maybe even North America, to video recently, and I still haven't seen that one. But he did also Open Windows, which I saw at Toronto After Dark.
I still have to see that.
Which also was released somewhat recently to video. I think it's on video on demand on a lot of things right now as well. And it stars Elijah Wood, the Hobbit guy. And he also did one of the ABCs of Death. Oh. Yes. A is for Apocalypse. Did the first one in the first movie. Oh. So if you remember that was Nacho Vigalondo, and he's one of those names on the scene right now and with each film he gets better and better and better. And this one essentially is he does a parallel universe little shtick with a guy in a basement, creates his own little dimensional portal type thing, and it works. And on the other side is him. He finds himself from another dimension who's also created a dimensional portal, and thus, they managed to join up. And so they decide, you know, as what others, all scientists are going to do this. So they're going to be like, hey, do you want to trade places for like a couple minutes? Hey, that sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Yeah, I want to go to the other dimension for a couple minutes. Okay. And of course, you know, being that it's another dimension, it's not exactly the same. Take it away.
No. Oh, really? Well, there's the... See, I don't know how to differentiate between the two, because I want to call him normal guy. Right?
Okay.
He's the one who you see first.
Yeah.
And then there's the not normal guy, and they're both married. Everything seems like the same. Then they switch. And the not normal guy, his wife is also not normal. And I can't say it. I think they're supposed to be aliens, kind of, right?
I don't know. Well, it's a different dimension. So they could be whatever, right? They're just... And you don't want to give too much away, right? Because that gives away. But essentially, it seems like the not normal guy lives in a universe, parallel dimension where they're almost like Satanists of some sort. And it's really, really weird. So normal guy has, you know, regular... That would be our universe, right? So the not normal guy visits us, and he's going up the stairs, and he sees a picture of normal guy and his wife, and it's the wedding picture, right? And he's just like, whoa, these guys are weird. Right?
You don't see that one first. You see
the other guy's first, right? Yeah. And his is a picture of like a ceremony or something like that, some kind of devil worshipping ceremony or something. You're just like, he's like, oh, that's different. That's not what I have in my place. But he doesn't really think much of it. It's just a picture, right? So yeah, and then to go any further gives away too much of the segment, but it really, it's just one of those things where you have to think, and you know it's going to be different. You know it's just a matter of trying to, you know, see what is that difference in these two parallel universes, and it turns out to be quite interesting. Yeah, so I mean it really didn't take much to do that segment, really, because it's all takes place in the one building. It's got a few actors involved. The portal itself is some computer fans and some LED lights and some, you know, wires here and there, so it's nothing spectacular. And then yeah, they made some puppets and stuff like that. There's one CG element in the sky. And then there's I'm guessing it was maybe prosthetic or CG for her. Yeah, I didn't look at it too closely because it was a little freaky, but yeah, it's a little different, and yeah, honestly, for a short film, put a little bit of money behind it and come up with some people who put together some good performances, and you can put together a short film like this pretty easily.
I liked it.
Yeah, I was quite impressed by it. Like I said, it didn't take much to actually make this. It's just a matter of, you know, knowing what you're doing and going through with it and making sure it looks good and it comes off well. And Nacho did it. Like it really worked. You know? And yeah, and it was fun. Like, I laughed. I had a good time with it, and I think that was the reaction he was going for. Then the final segment.
Oh, there's two more.
No. No.
But they put it as one?
What?
Because there's the skateboard people.
Yeah.
But then there's also the barbecue. That doesn't count?
The barbecue is part of the wraparound. Oh. That's the ice cream truck. The barbecue wasn't actually one of the short stories.
Because I thought it was super short. No, but I thought because they didn't see the chasing.
Well, they did, because he went past in the alley behind him.
Oh, yeah.
Ice cream truck went behind him, yeah. And that was one of the things that didn't really fit in with that whole wraparound. It was just this, you know, LA gangster barbecue in the backyard thing going on. And that's essentially what it is. And it's a kid videotaping this barbecue going on. And of course, they all hear the police and all the, you know, the helicopters, and I had to say probably 99% of the people at this barbecue had been in jail at some point, maybe just out of jail, because they do mention some guy just came out, yeah. And that's what it is. And the only thing that it has to do with the wraparound itself is the fact that the ice cream truck drives down the alleyway behind them and the guy on the bike is following it. That was it. It didn't have anything else to do with the wraparound whatsoever, which is why it makes sense that you almost consider it like its own little separate short story, but it's not. It's part of that wraparound, and it just didn't really fit with the rest of what the wraparound was doing. It was completely non-related. But the last one is about skateboarders, and it is called, what is it called? Bone Storm. And that was done by two guys I've actually met. And met them at the Toronto After Dark Film Festival when I think it was, I don't know if it was the premiere, Canadian premiere, world premiere, international. It was, well, it would have been some premiere of some sort. Toronto premiere, maybe. I don't know. But it was of their film called Resolution, and that's from Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who just really awesome guys. They clearly have a career ahead of them because they're very smart. They just did, and a lot of you are picking it up now, Spring. It premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in the Midnight Madness section, and it's now available on Blu-ray and DVD. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to eventually, you know, but yeah, I know a lot of people are really digging it. A lot of people are really looking forward to it, and yeah, if you can check that out, check it out, because they're talented, very, very talented guys. And they did this segment about these, you know, punk teenage skateboarders who, they're not as bad as, like, I think they toned it down. They could have gone really, 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 really punkish and been like, they could have been real dicks. Like, you if you know some of the skateboard culture of the past and people who are really doing this is sort of like, obviously newer skateboarders because they all have GoPro. But, you know, in the past, you know, that's what they did. Skateboarders would make reels with video cameras and they would shoot all this stuff. And some of those guys were, you know, if they were skateboarding and they saw like a senior sitter or something, they would beat the crap out of them. And they would put it on tape. Oh my God. And that's kind of what, you know, this was drawing from. These guys are real arseholes to a degree, and they don't really take to authority too well. They're constantly talking back and stuff like that, but at the same time they never really do anything too horrendous, you know. So you still feel a little bit of their innocence, not quite, but there's still a little bit there. And they decide, you know, they got kicked out of all the places where they normally skate because they're being, you know, punks. And they decide, hey, we're going to Tijuana. Whatever. I'm guessing they're in LA or something like that. You know, somewhere in California. So I guess that's what you do. Being up here in Toronto, that's not the first thought that goes through our heads, I'm sure. Oh my God, I got kicked out of the skate park. Let's go to Tijuana. But I guess for them, it's not that far away, right?
Yeah, and then plus they like that the you know, they have fireworks.
Well, yeah, you can get your fireworks and your booze and all this kind of stuff, and you can be underage. It's not a problem, right? So they decide, and it's really weird. A thought, like, it's like, we've been kicked out of all the local skate parks, so let's go to another country because I hear that there's a place there where we can skateboard. I guess, but it's always abandoned, so I don't know who's told them about this skateboard place because nobody goes there apparently. But hey, it's a well-known place to go skateboard because there's nobody there. I don't know. Not saying the logic really worked there, but they decide we're going to go to this place across the border and then take it away.
Yeah, so they don't ever find that particular place. They find another place that will do, right? And they see some weird stuff, like it looks like, not like sacrifice kind of thing, well maybe it is, but there's like candles and stuff like that all around, and then you'll see like some kind of weird, not body part, but something gross, right? You know it was alive at some point. And they're skating and whatever, and that doesn't bother them that much. Like they're, you know, if I saw that, I'd be like, okay, yeah. I think it's time to leave.
They're talking about how, you know, like the cartels and stuff are you know, all over in Tijuana, and the one guy's like, oh, they're not there anymore, they've left, right? So you would think if they get there and they see all these, you know, ritualistic type things going on, you'd be like, maybe we shouldn't skate here. But I guess the desire to skate is just so strong in these kids that A, first they gotta go to Mexico, and B, when they get there, the ritualistic sacrifice area that they seem to have found that would be perfect for them to skate in, they're like, meh, let's go! And it turns out it was a ritualistic type place, because some crazy people show up.
Yeah, a lot of them.
A lot of them. And then it turns into a gore fest. And there is craziness, and some of it's laughable, and other parts are just like really, like, make you kind of cringe and go, ooh, ew, that's kind of gross. And yeah, so this was definitely the gore segment of the bunch, and it's at least I thought it was really well done gore. Like it was, yeah, it was kind of gross.
Yeah, it was kind of gross. But it didn't bother me because I found it pretty funny. Not, you know, not when they're like beating up and whatever, that's not funny. But like, you know, when a body part is just like, oh, you know, over here or whatever, like it was funny. So I didn't like it as much as the other two, but it wasn't horrible, right? It was kind of funny.
Yeah, no, I was kind of on par with I found them all, except for the wraparound, I found them all kind of in the same vein for different reasons. Like I said, this was the gore one. If you're not into the gore, then you're just, it's not going to be your thing. I thought it took a long time to actually get to the payoff, because you really had to watch these, you know, punk teenagers skating around and being jerk-offs for the, you know, the good 3/4 of it, and you're like, oh my god, like, I know something's gonna eventually happen, but can we just get to it? Because I'm getting really tired of seeing these punk kids, man. And then finally, you know, some of them get their comeuppance and others don't, and it's just, it's yeah, it's some crazy mayhem essentially. It's blood, parts, things, monsters, whatever, everything's going everywhere, and it's all GoPro, so it's a lot of editing, which
I hate.
She doesn't like the constant switching of the cameras and such like that. I don't have too much of a problem because that's the style of this thing. My biggest problem with this film was they kept putting VHS tracking and you know, bad videos and distortion and stuff, and I'm like, everything in this particular at least in the other VHS ones, everybody's watching a VHS tape, so it makes sense. In these ones, they keep doing VHS type edits and VHS type distortions and you know, damage and stuff like that, but none of it's on VHS. None of it. No. Like, all of this footage is supposed to be essentially shot with digital cameras, GoPros, cell phones. Well, security camera footage is shown as security camera footage, so that made sense. Who's editing all this stuff together? I don't know. But that has to do with the whole wraparound and the, I guess, the supernatural element of it, which you can't really give away because it doesn't really make too much sense, but it's there. It's all about, you know, going viral. I'll leave it at that. You make it up. You didn't care much for it. I thought it was kind of stupid. I was hoping for more. After all of this chasing, I was hoping for more, and there really was no payoff. yeah, so outside of the wraparound, which I kind of wish they had been more like the first two films where people found these VHS tapes. The VHS tapes were of, you know, people getting killed and stuff like that. This was not the case. These were really, people had, you know, been, I guess, commissioned or something to do a short film for the series, and they did, but they weren't like the other movies. They weren't of people necessarily dying. They were, and especially with the one that was cut out, like,
no,
you know, it didn't make any sense. These were more, you know, like they were short horror films, you know, things that you would have at a film festival or something and show. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't really have much to do with the whole VHS stuff.
No, and I think that's probably because, you know, since it was only last year, I think they were trying to be more up to date, right? And not, that's why there was like cell phones and stuff like that, because it's like up to date. So if they're watching that, you know, old VHSs, I think that's why they didn't do it.
No, but that's the same with the one that you watched. Everything in there that was shot like that. Like GoPros and stuff like that. But they were watching them because basically they were snuff films. Right? So they were being traded back and forth. And you couldn't really trade them. They weren't going to trade them online. Because, you know, well, I mean, short of going into the underweb, this isn't stuff you want to be out there. Because if somebody, you know, the cops catch you with this kind of stuff, it's like, you know, you don't deal with that. You get arrested, right? And so it was an underground thing where people had their VHS tapes and they would trade them back and forth, and they would actually physically trade them and send them and stuff. Send you a, you know, a blank cassette, and here it is, and then you'd pop it in, you'd be like, oh my god, this is actually somebody getting killed type thing. This is a video of somebody getting killed. And that's kind of what the first two had, sort of aspects of it. It was these VHS cassettes that they had found. Even though the footage on the VHS cassette could have been shot with whatever, it had been transferred to a cassette. So that whatever damage you saw was the cassette being played. This was not the case. This film had nothing to do with VHS cassettes. It was just an anthology film with the VHS banner put onto it. So in that sense, I really wish they hadn't attached VHS to it whatsoever and just left it as, maybe they called it something else.
Yeah.
You know? And I guess that, you know, because it isn't called VHS 3, it's VHS Viral. Maybe that's, I don't know, how they're trying to get around it. This is more about getting online. It's more about that. And I get that. That's the whole wraparound story. But the other portions of it had nothing to do with that. So, yeah, I get what they were trying to do. I get how it kind of relates to the first two films. But at the same time, it's that whole VHS moniker really didn't fit with this one. And they, I don't know, like I said, they used VHS damaging and tracking and all that kind of stuff in this movie, and there's no VHS tapes, so it made no sense. If you're not going to use VHS tapes, then don't use that kind of stuff. So, yeah, overall thoughts?
I think I liked it better than the last one. I did. So that surprised me, because I thought it was going to be really bad, but I really liked the first two main things. So I think that I will give it like a thumb.
A thumb out of...
Two.
Two thumbs.
Two. Well, not everybody. I shouldn't say that. But, you know, the 2 thumbs up thing. That's what I meant. So I would give it 1.
She's giving it a 50% there. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I liked the segments better than the second film. I kind of wish these segments had been put into the second film, and it had been the wraparound from the second film with these segments in it. And they had switched off, so that VHS Viral was just a piece of crap, and then VHS 2 was kind of good. But when they almost even out. Again, I agree with you. I like this one better than the last one, but like I said, that VHS stuff irks me.
Yeah.
It irks me. I don't know why, but yeah, the short films in this one, much better. Much, much better. VHS Viral, yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff, you're into anthology films, keep watching them. Some people do not like VHS Viral. They don't even like the short films in it. I don't know why. I think the short films were really, really good. But I think they're on the same boat that I am. They kind of get wrapped up into, here's what VHS and VHS 2 were, and then you come out with this and it's like, but there's no VHS. What? This doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, if you don't get too hung up on that, you'll probably enjoy VHS Viral. So, yeah, you've been warned. And don't expect it, so hopefully you'll enjoy it more now that you know. Before going in, we didn't know because we didn't watch it, didn't see it before. So, yeah. Thanks for watching the 31 Days of Horror 2015 for VHS Viral. There's still more to come. And I will get the lovely Lesley in at least one more video. So keep watching. Until next time, guys and gals, take care. Have a good one. What do you think?
Nothing.
You heard it here first, folks. She doesn't think.
That's not funny. You're gonna edit that now, right?
No.
Yes, you are.